It's Saturday, November 12th, 2022. I've watched, I was up this morning very early, around 5 a.m. I was watching a bunch of different pieces that they've put up over the last few days. I wasn't quite sure how the thread of reality amongst these pieces were working in order to paint like a broader picture or message. But I just sat patiently and I'm just watching and then reviewing in order to thread together some cosmic fabric of a consciousness or reality in some quantum string that they've put out there. I'm currently in this flag pattern. Now if I think of Harry, they have this, I don't know if you say urban legend or like trend. I call everything that has a movie studio, I call it Hollywood, because I don't know any better. I'm not in the industry. And in the set of rooms that I've been held in or amongst, Hollywood's, I mean, like if it goes into the cinema where you sit in a chair and look at a screen, it's Hollywood. So that's first set of circumstances in one reality when I'm speaking upon myself. So there's that. So there's this movie reference of Harry Potter, and there's witches and wizards and this magical community of magical people, and then there's the not magical people, which are the muggles. And so in that theoretical way of speaking, I'm thinking to myself as part of the wizard and witches community, having a storm named after you is a high honor, especially considering during this same time of collective consciousness in some human experience, there is this advanced collective problem of climate change. Animals are dying off. The planet essentially is sending out signals in a large area as one collective cohesiveness, larger problem to wrap unity around. In the planet is dying. It's sending out the signals of it's dying. And the people on the planet are making it worse by their actions and their way of being. So they've named this storm after me, or it just happens to be my name in some random collective specimen of whatever. I mean, like, depends. Are we talking muggle? Are we talking magical people? Magi? So there's that. So I was listening to World News Tonight yesterday with David Muir, who was off for the evening. And I'm listening to the way that the man is speaking of my name and this storm. And then I go to CBS Saturday mornings, the episode 46, E46. And they have on today a man in a bow tie, not a necktie, a bow tie. So his pageantry is, and he's in a suit. And he speaks of Nicole as an agent of change, which brings about much colder weather. Now, in climate change, when the world is heating up so ferociously and voraciously and so fast and furious, I believe these things a nice sentiment or sentiment that they are putting out there. So I'm listening to the words. Then it goes into, from there, so that's the storm watch. Then it goes into air pollution. They actually had something on this morning on a show called Mission Unstoppable S4E6. It's an SAT 11/12 date that says air pollution, which I found a Rastafarian who explained what Rastafarian actually was, which I appreciated the definition, and then how she got into her career in California. Again, I wasn't even presented with any opportunity that looked or was constructed the same. I've never even heard of the CARD or CARB that she actually found and was able to find employ within. So that's a new area for me. Then it goes into, on the E46, it has a bottom mention when speaking about Elon Musk and Twitter. It says blue check, black eye imposters. Again, just broad spectrum. The intonation is what's most important. Then going to CBS Mornings E225, which was yesterday, they mentioned NFL Washington Commanders are sued for deceiving fans over toxic workplace culture. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. It was just a major headline. And it also uses something called Applegate. Then they go on this Mission Unstoppable S4E6. They go into something I've heard them use or misappropriate words before for deja vu. And I see the person who's perpetuating it. I don't ascribe to the theoretics. I just know that they're floated out there in some conspiracious way. And I get that they have a purpose somewhere. But then that takes me to this mention. They put Brother Star up there. They also have up there a polymathematics major, bank something or other to do with FTX in some paradigm for future spread. It's a crypto free fall. I'm like, now is that like the crypts of like the catacombs of the bloodline and the children, that they seem to be doing index and polyscripting in polymathematics and polyscience and like stretching fabrics of reality and cosmic time and space, and then networking their way into like really dangerous paradigm shifts. Because there is a slide up there. I mean, they used Brother Brady in a NFL networked commercial for this crypto. But when I look at, God bless you, when I look at the actual visual reference without words, and I just pause it, the words read spot perp future spreads. Now, I mean, for me, there's some real serious mathematical principles and cosmic shifts, cosmic births, and cosmic whatever that have been hijacked, like the lives of these incredibly important cosmic children. Their life script has been hijacked and then woven in and rewritten for nefarious purposes, which is part of the problem, to do with capitalism and with whatever powers that be that are laying these seeds of problems and are going against laws of nature that are supposed to be upheld. So there's this FTX paradigm with future spreads in it. And so it goes from that. And then they mention on this show to the rescue. It's all about dog rescues. It's S3E2, and it's again SAT 11/12. And it's Cole, the deaf rescue dog. Again, I don't want to be marked as a dog. I don't want this to become some larger area joke. But based on some of the stories I've heard about the pedophiles and the way that they put out on prime time other ways of being, I know it already is floating out there. I'm not biting, I'm not baiting it. So this is my outline of what I've witnessed in several different platforms or shows that have put forth little nuggets of information, and then how they choreograph together to tell the larger schematic of what's going on in craft. It's a spacecraft machinery, and it's a craft all within itself, whether it's artistry or not, who am I to say? But it is a way of communicating for higher purpose. So I'm listening to the words and the way that they are explaining the storm, Nicole, at first.
Returns tonight at 11 o'clock. Be safe out there.
That's New York.
Tonight, severe storms as we come on the air. Nicole pushing its way into the northeast. The deadly storm leaving a path of destruction from Florida up the East Coast. Tornado and flash flood threats across several states. Heavy rain from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia, New York to Boston. New images tonight of the hurricane damage in Florida. 49 beachfront buildings now ruled unsafe. Stephanie Ramos here in New York. Rob Marciano timing it all out. Also on this Friday night, battle for control of the House and Senate. New numbers tonight in the Arizona Senate race.
And now I'm going to go to the one where they mention the storm as an agent of change. And they have Nicole's Aftermath as the title underneath. And it says remnants of hurricane impact on the eastern seaboard.
Good morning. What's left of Hurricane Nicole is moving out this morning. But before we talk about what's going on today and in the future, let's examine the past with Nicole. And sure enough, here's where it was as we made our way into last Monday. It cruised its way right through portions of the Bahamas, eventually setting its sights on portions of Florida, and then veering back up into...
And in my field study, speaking to the humans I have access to, they don't know who controls the weather. It seems to be this like mysterious force behind nature. They don't have a name for it. There's no agency on it. Not that we're aware of in this area.
Yeah, the mid-Atlantic, and that's where it rests now in parts of the Appalachians, and we can expect some heavy rainfall with it, possibly more tornadic activity too. But it's going to be also an agent of change. It's going to change our temperatures considerably. Warm day for you today across portions of the Northeast, but look what's right behind it. You got the tug of colder air, anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 degrees cooler than what you normally anticipate, and it keeps coming into Sunday and Monday. Look at this, highs anywhere from 10 to 20, cooler than what you normally anticipate. And if you're going to be shivering, you're not going to be alone. Nearly a third of America is going to be dealing with it for tomorrow morning into Monday, and even Tuesday. We're talking 147 million people putting on the extra clothes, trying to stop shivering. And sure enough, the temperature outlook as we go way ahead from the 17th to the 21st, very likely below average.
Trying to stop. Did he say shiver? I'm just curious.
For the center of the country. Now for the latest coverage, watch the Weather Channel on cable or live on your favorite streaming devices. And Michelle, again, that cold air to set the stage for snow next week.
Not really ready for...
Now here's the piece, because we go from the superstorm that's going to lower the temperature, which has one context and measure, to this piece on air pollution that someone was gifted the advantage of studying where I have not, and they put together a small piece on it.
You know what? I bet air pollution specialist Lachey Cobley has some better ideas. So let's find out. Los Angeles is known for its weather, gorgeous beaches, and of course, movie and TV stars. But it's not all glamorous. In 2021, there were 7.7 million vehicles registered in LA County. Almost all
7.7.
Almost all of them spewing out smog. And that smog isn't just turning our skies a sick yellowish gray color. It gets in our lungs and causes numerous health issues. But don't despair. California is turning it around. And now
They don't mention those chemical agents that are being burned and just hanging above the large cities. They don't mention neurological defects, what to spot for, how to reduce your risk if you don't want to take part in it. Like, there's not even this offering to circumvent this lifestyle at all. I mean, I haven't been offered one.
now leads the nation in establishing the strictest vehicle emission standards in the country. And Dr. Lachey Cobley has made it her mission to clean up our air for future generations.
I was raised Rastafarian, which gave me this strong sense of love for nature and this respect for all living things, even though I grew up in a very urban environment and didn't have a lot of nature around me. And then when I got to college, I took my first class on plants and completely lost my mind. Did not know that I could be so into plants. My way of getting into
She had access to a school track system that encouraged her in this track and constructed this reality of what to take and some guiding light, where I also have not had anything like that. It's just been one series of rooms year after year with there's no roadmap. There's been nothing really offered.
studying pollution was actually trying to understand where trees got their nutrients from in cities, and it wound up telling me this incredible story about pollution that I wanted to take it a step further and say, okay, what do we do about this? Which is how I then landed at CARB eventually.
CARB stands for the California Air Resources Board, and it creates policies to protect public health and the environment.
Here we are at CARB's heavy-duty
That sounds like a really big responsibility. In New York, I've never even heard of it. Not ever. Not on the news, not in schools, not with my children growing up. It's like they don't even exist. I don't know who their target market was.
We actually have our heavy-duty vehicles set up. We can get them running in real time and make measurements on the emissions that come from them. We actually have a truck set up. Why don't we go in and take a look?
The truck is anchored down and sits on an enormous treadmill called a dynamometer. This way, the truck can be tested at all speeds. Rollers on it move the truck's wheels to simulate road conditions.
So this giant fan that you see behind me is actually really useful.
I've never been invited to a facility that looks like this. I don't even know the name of one engineer. This is how serious the derailment of my extra special marriage to somebody else who's special, who may or may not have access to this. I mean, it had life-altering and life-shattering consequences.
Useful because it allows us to create real-world environments. So a truck that may be going on a highway at 80 miles per hour is going to have very different emissions than a truck that's going 30 miles per hour, let's say in a residential neighborhood. This fan allows us to get those different wind speeds. Here, what you can see is the actual stack where the exhaust is coming out of the truck. We had that connected to our instruments where we can capture all of that pollution that's coming.
Now, I I supposed to believe that they didn't know this before the mass manufacturing of the automobile and these fumigation machines with nerve toxins and agents and so on and so forth that people are breathing in and don't even know the consequences of and can't, and worse yet, can't even escape from because they keep building more and people keep buying more.
It's all systems go from the control room, and the test starts rolling.
So here in our monitors, you can see all of the measurements that are being made in real time. On our middle screen is actually where we're getting all of the pollutants coming off of the exhaust.
The lab frequently looks specifically for criteria pollutants, or 6 common air pollutants established by the Environmental Protection Agency that
So the 6 are nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, lead, particle pollution, ground level ozone, and hydrogen dioxide. I've never sat in a class where any of these things have ever been mentioned, not in a classroom setting.
That contribute to bad air. Within minutes, the test yields valuable data that can contribute to regulation.
And not only did I not hear about any of that, but in my life frame is when they broke into some credit allowance in order to make the purchasing of these vehicles and this industry grow. It feels like almost unregulated. I mean, I don't know who's regulating it. There's supposed to be an EPA somewhere. It looks like they're failing miserably.
That will help clean up and keep the air we breathe breathable.
There's a lot of different ways that we can all play a part in cleaning the air and cleaning our environment. Instead of driving to work, maybe have one day a week where you ride your bike or carpool with friends, get on public transit. These are all things that are going to reduce vehicle emissions.
Great advice, Leshay. I know the next time that I'm heading to the red carpet, I'll ride my bike. Well, maybe not my bike, but I'll definitely carpool. Stick around. We've got one.
Here's the part where they say blue check, black eye. Says it right there.
$44 billion takeover. The company suspended its premium $8 verification subscription program just one day after it was launched. The blue check marks vanished Friday after some accounts that received the paid verification were impersonating public figures and brands. It's unclear if or when the service will return. This week, 3 top Twitter security and privacy executives have resigned amid the company turmoil.
Now, on CBS Mornings E225, this is where they talk about the free fall of cryptocurrency, and they also speak about the Washington Commanders. Now, the law papers or the official set of papers that they're displaying up here as a reference, I've never even heard of this set of whatever. I don't know if it's NFL agency specific. I'm really unclear, but it looks very different than some of the papers that I've filed in the past when I've had like emergency domestic violence issues with household residents.
NFL owner Dan Snyder has been under fire for years, accused of running his team's front office like a fraternity house. Now he may have to defend himself in court. Washington, D.C.'s Attorney General has filed a consumer protection lawsuit against Snyder, the Washington Commanders, the league, and Commissioner Roger Goodell. As Jeff Pegues reports, the civil case alleges that an NFL investigation of the team's workplace culture was a sham.
I am repulsed.
Washington, D.C. Attorney General Nicole yesterday issued a scathing rebuke of the Washington Commanders and the NFL.
No one, no matter how powerful they are, is above the law.
Racine team's office filed a consumer protection civil lawsuit Thursday against the Commanders, owner Daniel Snyder, the NFL, and Commissioner Roger Goodell, alleging that they colluded to deceive the Washington fan base about the investigation into allegations of sexual harassment and a persistently hostile work environment within the organization. Back in 2020, 15 former female employees told the Washington Post that they were harassed while working for the team.
They have the number 15 in there, and it has Applegate, the name, in there with those symbols that are incredibly important for the New York version of Joshua Tree, and August, and having the cosmic certain child, same as my own, and same as someone else important somewhere in NFL community. Knowing that the 5/15/15 that I filed was known to be dangerous to my health prior to me having to file the paperwork in whatever the muggles might think it is. It's something very different to the wizarding and witches community that just know better. Or am I having a problem with the large Del Toro and something else going on that perhaps Father November, Father June, and Father October need to know about on my behalf?
Hired well-known attorney Beth Wilkinson to investigate the workplace culture, but the NFL later assumed control of overseeing Wilkinson's investigation.
We're very conscious of making sure that we're protecting those that came forward.
The D.C. lawsuit claims that Snyder and the NFL then entered into an agreement to block public release of information related to the probe. It also alleges that Snyder and the team attempted to pay off and intimidate potential witnesses and says the NFL was aware of this.
We've been in the center of kind of a tornado.
Megan Bird is a former employee who participated in the investigation.
Sexual harassment, derogatory comments daily, comments about what we were wearing.
Congress has been looking.
I'm not going into the whole Muggles portion of the story. All right, now this goes into networking consciousness, big networks, quantum string theory, neural networks, that kind of thing. It has some slight textbook references that I've heard, but they're not really textbook in one scholarly standard level of teaching. It's more like little pieces of, I don't even know if they're folklore, maybe is a better word for it. I don't really ascribe 100% to this deja vu reference, the way that they're describing it. I think it's much more technical, it's much more fundamental, and it's on a much more sci-fi scale.
This is my third take reading this intro, so I understand. But what's up when you have normal deja vu? Dr. Brain can't explain.
Have you ever gotten the weird feeling of, I know I've been here before, but you also know that you haven't? This feeling of being connected in memory to something that's happening to you for the first time is called deja vu, a French term for already seen.
It's like, at this point, I mean, in this level of technological advances, it's picture in picture. It's like standing in a hall of mirrors where there's one mirror all the way above and down on either side, and then you break the mirror, just the slight break of the mirror's dimension, and the dimension opens up into a pathway of more than just one version of yourself. It now is broken dimensionally into you being able to see a whole parody of yourself in multiple different complexities.
What is it that's tricking our brain into this creepy feeling?
Well, it's our brain, of course. Hi, I'm Dr. Brain. Okay, my real name is Crystal Dilworth, but I have a PhD in
in neuroscience, which is easier to call me Dr. Brain. So, I'm Dr. Brain. Scientists define deja vu as an intense...
I'm not necessarily okay with defining her as Dr. Brain unless we're going into like Pinky and the Brain and like this problem that seems to be reoccurring and going on with other dimensional stuff elsewhere. Again, it's a reference, but it's one that has to be handled very carefully.
Intense feeling of familiarity, a feeling that we remember the current moment, even though it's never happened before. But when deja vu happens to us, it does not feel scientific. Are we momentarily connecting to a dream? Are we experiencing the memory of a previous lifetime? Are we connecting to another version of ourselves across the multiverse? Hello. I love that talk. I know, right? Nope. It's just our brain doing a little hiccup as it processes information. In order to remember something, first we have to experience it, and then our memory...
I don't necessarily agree to this either.
Memory tells
But this is the way the Muggles are explaining it to other Muggles at the moment.
Tells us that it's happened before. We do that by matching the features or elements of our current situation to the features or elements of all of our previously experienced situations that are stored in our memory. Basically, to understand what's going on right now, your brain cross-references similar events from your vast library of memories. Deja vu experiences may happen when there's a strong match between what we're experiencing right now and something that we've experienced in the past. This gives us a feeling of familiarity, but our brain can't quite figure out what is familiar and what isn't. The end result is that you end up feeling like you've lived it all before in exact...
If I was going to go spell familiar, it says F-A-M as in fame and then liar. Just saying.
Exactly the same way. Our brain has several ways of finding errors and correcting its own mistakes. So when it gets a signal that an experience is repeating itself, it checks part of our memory system to see if the signal is true. If it's not, when our brain corrects the false signal, it might cause us to feel deja vu. Deja vu happens more often when you're under stress or tired. Basically, in moments when your brain is more likely to be making an error. You should get more sleep. Good advice, but I know you're not real. I am filing you away. So the next time you get that creepy feeling that you've experienced something before, remember, it's not your brain connecting to another dimension. It's just your brain having a little filing error.
Actually, that dimensional part's probably the only piece, but she even effectuated it incorrectly. All right, now this is back to CBS Morning's E225, where they mention cryptocurrency, and it's at a 41.38.
For several days now, cryptocurrencies have been in a free fall out of fear that the second largest crypto exchange, FTX, may go bankrupt. Sam Bankman-Fried, the company's founder and CEO, is desperately trying to find a lifeline for its collapsing exchange. He blames himself for the crash, admitting he effed up and should have done better in a tweet yesterday. Vlad Dutier is here to show us what's going on inside the often confusing world of cryptocurrency. Vlad, what's up, man?
Good morning, Nate. Good to see you, my brother. So let me explain. Things really took a turn for FTX after a deal to sell the exchange to its top rival went south. Now, Bankman-Fried also faces his own personal financial troubles as the CEO, who was once valued at 20...
I should mention that 43rd Avenue here in Bayside was renamed Benjamin Freed. I have no idea why.
$6 billion has lost nearly all of his wealth in just a matter of days.
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so. FTX's popular Super Bowl ad, starring Larry David, lampoons some of mankind's greatest inventions.
I call it the wheel.
One of the worst ideas I've ever heard.
And even the world's leading cryptocurrency exchange itself.
And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
But the punchline isn't so funny now that FTX is on the verge of collapse.
FTX is the safest and easiest way to buy and sell crypto. It's the best way to get in the game.
The company drew big-name investors like Tom Brady and was worth enough money to strike a major league marketing deal and buy into the name of a major sports arena. But
now, when I pause this and I quiet the MIND at the moment, it says crypto in freefall. One of the world's top cryptocurrency exchanges faces possible bankruptcy. Now, here it says FTX, and it has Paradigm. It has the world I live in now, the world in the future, in some paradigm shift and cosmic fabric, which I can explain, but I also have this in a different color combination from what my grandfather left to me as a signal in his artwork. It says future spreads are live on Paradigm. Yeah, they really are. You're messing with people's lives and people's actual futures, and they're gambling them. They're not just gambling like sports, big like game day sports. Like, is Brady gonna throw a, I don't even know how to paraphrase it because I don't watch it, but like, is he gonna win? I don't know. Like, they bet on that. Yeah, okay. But this futures is a special principles license, and in order to get into it, it's a special education, and there's a whole whatever in order to get into this. Now, interestingly enough, it says spot, perp, and future spreads. Now, at NYPD COPs, for the 0238 and now my new 22s walking in my shoes, don't you call the scales perps? I mean, like your EDPs? I'm just curious. Some of the lingo I've picked up from like real field work.
But now, it and all of crypto, including Bitcoin, is in crisis mode. FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, who graced the covers of Fortune and Forbes magazines as one of the world's youngest...
Also, I've heard of this. I've never heard of this, and I have no idea where you get one of these, like, magazines. I don't know. Like, Linda gets People. That's about it. And I've never ordered magazines for the house.
Billionaires, he is now scrambling to find...
TV Guide was the one that she used to order, and my aunt was National Geographics, so there was actually studious and learned going on.
Find enough funds to give investors their money back. After another exchange, Binance backed out of a planned deal to rescue FTX.
All the withdrawals are stuck. I can't get the money out.
Evan Luthra is an investor who has seen the value of his crypto holdings plummet, and now...
I should mention I've not been on a boat since I was a child. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Not too long ago, they took me across the channel, or across to Fire Island on a ferry. But not in this, and I've never been on a cruise, ever.
Now, can't even withdraw what's left in his FTX account.
I thought it was very, very secure. I had lost almost $2 million. I am probably never going to trust any exchange anymore. I'm only going to keep money in my hard wallet. So this was a very, very big lesson for me.
Right before his company began to collapse, Bankman-Fried...
I don't understand why anybody is doing this ability to steal other children's future. I don't understand why, like, outside is buying into this, and this is allowable. And the effects of the children that are in, like, locked into this matrix of polymathematics and polyscience, their health matters. Their future matters. But yet they're trapped in some dimensional science that they have no access to.
Fried tweeted, FTX is fine. Assets are fine. FTX has enough to cover all client holdings, assuring clients their money was secure. But the tweet was quickly deleted.
What you're witnessing is a classic example of a run. FTX users were worried that they wouldn't be able to get their funds out via cryptocurrency, and so they all lined up, and FTX didn't have the cash on hand to pay them out.
According to the AP, FTX is under investigation by U.S. regulators over its handling of customer funds. The White House yesterday issuing this warning.
The most recent news further underscores these concerns and highlights why prudent regulation of cryptocurrencies is indeed needed.
Many still feel cryptocurrencies are here to stay. The but with this massive downturn in value, its future is uncertain.
Really, this is an asset with no inherent value. There's no fundamental. It trades
Oh.
entire.
There's a reference to the bull. Again, I got the NCIS reference. I mean, there's a show also on here called Bull that looks very John Hafner. But again, like, who wants to call who out? They I don't know, they put him on my Facebook. He's one of the only few references from the Nick Santarelli crew that I still have access to, and like I don't even know what to say. Like, I mean, at what part? Like, but that bull, and then yesterday they put up this Del Toro reference for the Navy, and I'm like, now is that the Royal Navy? Is there a different Navy? Like, I am confused again because there's nobody to ask.
Entirely and sentiment is fickle. And right now, sentiment is very negative.
This also affects a lot of big-name celebrities who have some of their investments in FTX. Tom Brady, we mentioned, Gisele Bündchen, Steph Curry, and David Big Papi Ortiz, just to name a few. These are folks that have their money in this currency, and
they trade on sentiment, and sentiment is fickle.
Yeah, we're showing video of coins there. The coins don't exist, except for in a server, right? They're pieces of data.
And that's what you heard Karine Jean-Pierre basically saying. You need to have regulatory, at least some kind of regulatory environment.
Server. Does that go back to military server or serving the people? I mean, again, it gets really dicey. So it's To the Rescue S3E2.
Gravitated towards children very naturally, but still be.
It says, this is the dog that they're referencing, and on the man's hat it says Cole, and on his shirt it says Cole Deaf Rescue Dog.
Still being very focused on daddy, and I just knew right then and there it was going to be the right choice to start therapy work with him. He just has a very special way about him.
I kind of feel like whatever's behind this portion of TV and the network and putting things together, it's working together.
So what you're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to get Cole to speak. Because Cole is deaf, he doesn't even know the sound of his own voice. Come on. Big one. Good boy! So the overall message of Cole the Deaf Dog and Friends is to change people's minds about what they think of something with a disability. So we spread that message to thousands upon thousands of children in our programs, to start giving them the chance to be aware of special needs and those kids that are born a little bit different, or those dogs that were born a little bit different.
Born different because their circumstances that they're surrounded around are different, not of their own doing, but at the effect of other people operating in humanity in other ways.
They deserve a chance just like everybody else, and they can show people each and every day just how special they really are and what they're actually capable of. Hi there, Rescue Friends. You can.
So it is star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, its Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken, and its Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.